What's cracking, people? It's your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I want to present part 5 of the male Octane observation series, and believe me, we look at the 89 Octane, aka the blue-collar man. There are so many examples that I could have used, because and this is a little tangent, when we have a framework to base a theory or an actual model upon, shout out to the master teacher BGS IBMOR for the Octane scale, we have clarity in terms of what data points come to life, what examples make sense, how to line up what the data points are saying to you, and how to structure a framing around that model or around that structure. So basically, once you have a scale that's sort of the backbone of an observation, all of the variations come to life. And so when we look for examples of the various Octane grades, in particular the 89, which I refer to as the sort of sweet spot for those who engage actively in their chosen vocation in a diverse labor force. Not only that, but if you recall back to when I did the presentation of the female Octane observations, when I covered the 89 Octane female, on the surface, when you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, if you don't have a direction for where you're qualifying the data points, it would seem that the 89 Octane female representation is extremely low compared to the 89 Octane male representation. And a person would just casually pass that off as, well, blue collar work, you're working with your hands, you're in the environment, that requires a lot of manual and physical activity. But because we have a model, and because we have a more comprehensive framing at which to interpret the data, we can determine that when we compare the numbers of married women who are not working, which is a posted data statistic, the women who would be in the 89 Octane pool of Bureau of Labor Statistics that are missing are actually housewives who are not present in the labor force, because their 89 Octane or 92 Octane husband is providing the type of lifestyle to whereas she does not need to be in the labor force competing with her husband. Enter the case study for today's presentation, none other than Ray Adams, aka James Todd, aka LL Cool J. I wanted to select this particular character as the case study because in the movie Deliver Us from Eva, there are so many scenes that play out the variations of the Octane scale, and the lead character, or the second lead character in particular, which is Ray, really showed how diverse in the expressions the 89 Octane has the ability to go. And there were some things that were pointed out about his character and the role that he was playing, not only just in the movie as a known seducer, of course, but as a hardworking blue-collar man who had access to all areas of society, from the low-level mom and pop restaurants that were being hassled by the health department, which is the space where his counterpart Eva, played by Gabrielle Union, came into the space. But from there, he also went to the other end of the spectrum actually delivering goods to the mayor and recommending, fine cuts to the mayor, and uh, having conversations about a variety of topics in that space, and being able to hold space along the spectrum within his given environment. Now, before I go any further, I want to do a rundown of the case study. So here we have the case study for the 89 Octane Man. The operative is Ray Adams, aka James Todd, aka LL Cool J. World Choice Feedstock Supplier. Yes, that's the official term for what he did in the movie. Sex identifies as male, height 6'2", weight 220, octane grade of course is 89. Now, his salary range, according to Glassdoor.com, is between $53,000 and $79,000. His identifiers include uniforms, of course, muted colors, which is interesting. 89 Octane Men, because they work with the environment, they work in various environments. The idea is to blend in and not necessarily stand out, unless the environment requires that you stand out. For example, if you're in the oil field work or in construction, obviously they wear fluorescent colors in order to stand out against the environment. Moving on, traditional garments of cultural expressions. That could be another another presentation in and of itself. But 89 Octane Men understand the need to adhere to cultural traditions, whether that is the Sunday suit or a funeral suit or a wedding suit or whatever it is that uh, represents the cultural expressions of his native environment. Moving on, the environment of operation. Now, this was an important part of identifiers, or giving the overall picture of the 89 Octane Man or any Octane Man. The blue collar sites, nature, external environments, factories, product facilities. Why this is so important speaks to how the 89 Octane Man is of value to a society. It's because he's able to transition from the natural environment, what it takes to manufacture and terraform the natural environment, and also how do you deliver that and communicate what you're delivering to people, to the ultimate beneficiaries of that which you've produced. And that's what puts the 89 Octane Man and 89 Octane Woman in a very valuable position within society, because they represent the culmination of refined masculinity, not only being able to terraform the earth, but manufacture what comes from the earth and produce and manage the labor that it takes in order to make that process come to life and deliver it to society. That is the culmination of refined masculinity, and that's why women love a man in uniform. She knows that he's able to provide and protect, but not only that, produce, which is where we find ourselves with the 89 Octane Man. Moving on, we have his skill sets are as follows: masculine leadership, either solo or with the group; project coordination, the ability to lead by following the chain of command. Now, what that translates into is basically this: in a natural environment, when you're working with nature, nature will have a way of humbling even the most hot-headed person, or the most experienced individual. And that's why with people, and men in particular, who work within the natural environment, construction, logging, whatever it is, they have an appreciation for a chain of command, depending on the experience, skill sets, and knowledge of other men who came before them. So, what he values, of course, the mission, building, forging value-driven bonds over time, structure, order, dependability, reliability, effective teams, honesty, integrity, and Equipment such as a good pair of work boots and a good work truck. These are the tenets of an 89 octane man or blue collar man, because he has to be able to rely upon not only the resources in order to build, but the relationships in order to build. That's why a lot of blue collar men are slow to trust people, especially 92 octanes. Now, this is not a diss or an offensive attack on 92 octanes, but I selected this particular character because this movie really showed a major element that differentiates the 89 octane and the 92 octane. And I want to play this clip from a scene in the movie that really displays that, in my opinion. Here you go.
So my boss has been hinting he might want to slow down, let somebody run the day-to-day for him. I think he might want me to do it.
It's great. When do you start?
Thinking about it.
There's nothing wrong with a little ambition, Raymond. I mean, I was a secretary in my department. Now I'm the lead inspector. I gave myself 5 years to get there. I did it in 4.
There you go, doing that thing you do with your face again.
Just drive your meat wagon, man.
So 2 things about this scene why I chose it. One, when a 92 climber woman, even a natural 92 woman, when she sees forever in a man, when she's really feeling a man, especially in this case with Gabrielle Union, after LL Cool J smoked them cakes, she saw forever in him. But the thing about a 92 climber or a natural 92 woman, she not only wears her ambition as a badge of honor, she also tries to inspire her man, or the man that she's enamored with or in love with, to be ambitious as well, goal oriented, hit those benchmarks, all for the purpose of being able to elevate and navigate various spaces in society. But what's interesting is the conflict that comes in when addressing identity. Identity is a very important component within not only the spectrum, but also the cultural aspect of your station, and not only in society, but in your ethnic group, in your cultural heritage. And the part where he says, see, there you go, doing that thing with your face, what she was doing with her face was a learned behavior. It is the mask of the 92 octane class. It is what is on full display in this particular graphic, which shows a pair of natural 92s. But let's be clear, everything comes at a cost. Even if you were born into a particular socioeconomic strata, the way that you navigate that space is learned behavior, and your expression of how you navigate that space is what I identified in the original Octane Observation series, which include the mask of the class, the language of the class, and the uniform of the class. Now, in this picture, which is perfect, it perfectly captures the mask of the 92 octane class, the uniform of the 92 octane class. And as it plays out in so many spaces, the language of the 92 class, which is quote unquote high society or corporate America, plays itself out in the various examples that have been presented for the octane spectrum. But not to get too far off into that, I just want to post those examples to show that there's a cost associated with maintaining a particular socioeconomic status, or even just a status or stature within a society in and of itself. I won't get too far off into that, but that cost is identity. How you identify with your environment, how your position within a society is in relation to the environment in which the society exists. Which is why it can be argued that the higher your social strata is, the less organic your identity with the environment is. The more virtual your identity becomes, the more artificial your identity becomes. And that is where a lot of conflicts come in terms of quote unquote keeping it real. Now, we're going to go deeper into what that phrase, how that plays out and why that has come up, especially when we talk about the 85 octanes. But just to bring this back full circle, the reason why I say that the 89 octane is the social sweet spot is because they have the ability to navigate multiple spaces with their identity intact. Masks are necessary. Let me be clear. Masks are necessary, especially in terms of interfacing with those in spaces that you need in order to negotiate a particular mission. I use the example with my mystery school students of why masks are used in certain rituals, customs, and especially hidden spaces. And the general response, especially with newer students, is that, oh well, it's to scare spirits and for protection, and I always say you're not wrong. However, the reason why various masks are crafted and created and designed specifically for various spaces is because the mask shows the desired entity what they look like in order to establish a space or portal of familiarity in order to navigate that space with said entity on common ground. Same thing for us. When we put on a mask of a various class, a space, the language and the uniform, we're attempting to interface between the socioeconomic spaces in order to negotiate and navigate whatever our mission or intent is to get from that space. And the reason why there's a lot of conflict that comes up with this is because if you're not grounded, if you're not balanced in your original expression, your original culture, your original ethnic background, you will lose that identity. You will lose that organic identity of your true self, and all that's left is that mask. Shout out to the field master Ron Wills. He puts it best when he talks about the masked man, in that at the end of the day, a woman is going to test to see if you are who you are presenting yourself as. Which, in closing, is why I say that the 89 octane man is at the sweet spot of the socioeconomic expression, because with 92s you can say that you know this person, you can say that you have this position, you can say this or that about yourself, buy business cards, buy a nice suit, present as whatever. But with an 89 octane, with the blue collar worker, you can't just say that you're an electrician, you can't just say that you're a plumber, you cannot just say that you're a general contractor, a fireman, or an airplane pilot. When push comes to shove and it's time to show and prove, you have to be what it is that you say you are. Stay tuned for the next installment of the Octane Observations, where we will be taking a look at the 87 Octane Man. As always, this is your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused. Later.